at the Georgia National Fairgrounds and Agri Center in Cary, Georgia, for tonight's debate among the three candidates for the soon-to-be vacant U.S. Senate seat in the state of Georgia. At this time, it is my great pleasure to introduce the candidates, left to right, the positions they have drawn beforehand. Republican candidate David Perdue. Michell Nunn. Our Libertarian candidate, Amanda Swofford. The format of the debate is as follows. Each candidate will give a 1-minute opening statement.
Thank you. Wow, it's great to be home. Welcome to Perdue country. Folks, this race is not about Michell Nunn. It's not about me. It's about the direction of our country. We have a full-blown crisis in America today. We have fewer people working than at any time since Jimmy Carter was president. Middle-class wages have dropped dramatically. And yes, in the last 6 years, we put 4 million women into poverty under the failed administration of this president. No wonder 70% of America believes we're headed in the wrong direction. We can fix this. But my opponent, my Democratic opponent, will be nothing but a rubber stamp for this failed agenda. We cannot
Opening statement, Ms. Nunn, your turn.
Thank you. Thank you to our raucous and enthusiastic crowd. Cary, and down the road from our family farm, and here at the fair, where my kids love to come every single year. It is great to be here. I am very proud of my 26 years of living and working in Georgia and mobilizing millions of volunteers, growing an organization from a few $1,000s to a $30 million budget. I know that we can change Washington, change the dysfunction if we send someone who is committed to collaboration and creativity and Georgia values.
Ms. Swofford, your turn. 1-minute opening statements, please.
I'm Amanda Swofford, and you may not have heard about me in this race, but I'm the candidate that stands for true freedom. Yeah. I am bringing a true responsibility, personal responsibility to this race, running for United States Senate because I believe it's that important. I'm holding down my full-time job, running for United States Senate, because I believe in the American dream and that you deserve a real choice in the United States Senate race. We know it makes no difference which party controls Congress in Washington because both parties have controlled us for decades. It's time that we get serious about electing a candidate for United States Senate who understands the power and responsibility of the individual lies with true liberty, not with big government. I hope you will keep an open heart and an open mind to listen to our message of true liberty tonight. And I thank you so much for the honor and privilege of participating in tonight's debate.
Thank you, candidates. This time we begin questions for our panelists. The first question will come from Randall Savage. Randall, you would direct it to Mr. Perdue, please.
Mr. Perdue, let's begin with foreign affairs. Not so long ago, ISIS wasn't a household word, but it is now. How do you feel about the way the United States is handling the situation, like bombing targets? And do you think ground troops should be used?
Well, let's put this in context. This all started in 2011 when our president did not heed the advice of many experienced people in the military about taking He created the vacuum that allowed the rise of ISIS. And today, I believe that our security at our national border needs to be taken into account, because all of a sudden, our security at our border is not just an immigration issue, it's a national security issue. Yes! Yes! I want to deal with this over there, not over here. Thank you.
How about ground troops?
Well, I think right now, what we need to do is make sure that we have a plan and a mission. And we don't have that right now. When we put boots on the ground, we better give them a chance to win. And right now, we don't have that.
Next question is from Leah Fleming. We'll direct it to Ms. Nunn, please.
Good evening, Ms. Nunn. The world has definitely been outraged by the beheadings and the murders by ISIS. And I wanted to ask you, you said in an interview that ISIS is a dangerous terrorist organization and it has to be defeated, and that we must take a lead in that. If elected, how would you vote on the issue of ISIS?
First of all, I have said that I think it's an incredibly dangerous threat. I'd like to go back 1 year ago to when we were asked, all of us as candidates, what we would do about Syria. And David Perdue said that we should do nothing. I said that we should intervene and lift up the moderate forces. There's a big It's about leadership, and it's about having some foresight, and it's not about political expediency. It was the popular thing to do a year ago to say we should do nothing. It is now the popular thing to do to say that we should engage. But we do need leaders who are going to do the right thing, not the popular thing. I believe we need to continue with scarce rights. And we also need to make sure that we have congressional authorization for long-term engagement.
Mr. Perdue, you want 30 seconds to rebut.
Thank you.
30 seconds, please.
Yes. Times have changed in a year. This president a year ago, he drew a line in the sand, and then he backed up from it. He had no plan then, he has no plan now. This is a very dangerous time in our history. We've got to make serious about our national defense. Right now, because of our debt, we're threatening our ability to protect our own national security. 4 past secretaries of defense have said that the greatest threat to our national security is our own debt. Thank you.
You'll ask it to Ms. Swafford, please.
We want to thank the candidates for being here. There was a story in the Washington Post last week that a big trend around the United States is for candidates not to appear at these kinds of debates anymore. Particularly, there's one in Minnesota, much like this, and it has been canceled. So a big round of applause for the candidates for being here tonight. And give yourself a round of applause for caring enough about government to be here tonight as well. All right, Ms. Swafford, I want to ask you the question that if you are elected, you would be the only Libertarian in Congress. And with that would be an issue of where you would caucus. Would you caucus with Republicans, Democrats, or neither?
I think that if I'm elected as the first Libertarian in this country to the United States Senate, I'd have to ask which party would want to caucus with me as the true candidate for liberty and reduced government, and who has a solid record working in government. I've been elected on the local government level, and I have a record of reducing government and giving our citizens more freedom. Which party would want to caucus with me? I think that's the true question. But let it be clear, I would not support any of the leadership that's currently in place, because Congress and the leadership have done a dismal job.
Next question will come from Jim Galloway. Jim, you'll direct it to Mr. Perdue, please.
Mr. Perdue, you've been quoted in a 2005 deposition as saying that you've spent most of your career outsourcing. You would say, let me finish, please. Let me finish. You would say services, others would say jobs. You've said that you are proud of that. Let's take the next, we're going to be talking about a lot about this evening, I think, so take the next minute and let's you begin to make your case here.
Well, look, don't be confused, folks. This is another attempt by my desperate opposition to use one line out of a 186-page document to define a career. Let me tell you what the issue is. The issue is, in the past 30 or 40 years, we've decimated entire industries because of bad government policies, tax policy, regulation policy, compliance issues. What I have fought for in this campaign is to get this economy going again. I believe that we have got to stop the nonsense in Washington. It doesn't work for us. We've got to reform our tax code. We've got to reform our regulatory overreach. And finally, we've got to unlock our energy resources. And that will help us compete with the rest of the world. One man can define an industry. That's not possible. What I'm here representing is a way forward to get our economy going and putting our people back to work. Thank you.
Jim, do you have a follow-up?
Ms. Nunn, I think he's your name there.
So David has said that he has unique experience to really give him the opportunity to serve in the Senate with 10 other folks that have business experience. But I'll tell you, he would be even more unique than that. He would be the only senator that, from his own words, has built a career around outsourcing American jobs. Thailand and Singapore and India and Pakistan, but not once did he talk about creating jobs in the United States.
We're going to move on. Randall Savage, the next question goes to Ms. Nunn, please.
Ms. Nunn, WMAZ asked viewers to send in questions. We've got a ton of questions about immigration. They range from cutting education to
Randall, I think we're having trouble
Lower
hearing
your
you.
mic, please, Randall. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anyway, they range from amnesty to illegal immigrants getting American citizens jobs to the cost of educating children of illegal immigrants and providing health care for them. If you're elected to the Senate, what would you do regarding amnesty for illegals and providing those costs?
I am in support of the bipartisan immigration framework put forward by Marco Rubio and John McCain and 14 Republican senators. Bipartisan coalition. It's also advanced by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the Farm Bureau, and it is a framework for investing in our border security, 20,000 security agents on the border as a part of this bipartisan bill. So when David talks about our border security, let's talk about what we could have already accomplished around that. It also gives folks a pathway, not amnesty, a long journey going to the back of the line, paying back taxes, security check, learning English, and it gives us the opportunity to create jobs, over 1 million estimated jobs, and to cut our debt.
Randall, go ahead. Follow-up.
Mr. Perdue looks like he's foaming at the bit on that one. Do you want to respond?
Oh, yes. If I'd been in the Senate, I would have gone against some of my Republican counterparts because of two things. It did not define amnesty properly, and it gave the Department of Homeland Security discretion about securing our border. Now with ISIS, we see that that's not acceptable. My opponent not enforcing the laws of the land in terms of securing our border.
All right, next question will come from Leah Fleming. Leah, you'll direct it to Ms. Swafford, please.
Ms. Swafford, the Libertarian vote could actually sway this election, at least by causing a runoff. How could you get above that 3% threshold that's predicted to show up at the polls and possibly secure a win?
I think I'm a true, real choice for the United States Senate, that we really don't have a Senate that represents working class Americans who actually go to work every single day. And I saw it when I was involved on the city council where I actually held elective office. It makes a difference on the legislation that's put in front of you if you have these real concerns and you're sitting there in your living room and trying to decide, do I raise or lower the thermostat? I mean, these kind of things really make an impact. And I think if we have an electorate that's tired of the same old promises from both parties, we've had a Congress for decades that have promised us entitlement reform, tax reform, spending reform. Have we got it? Both parties have controlled Congress at various times for the last 20 years with majorities. What have we gotten out of that? That's a perennial question I think we have to ask. And it's just time that we understand we need to elect a senator who really represents more of the diversity that we see in Georgia every single day.
All right, that concludes phase number 1 of the debate. It is time now for the candidates to question one another. Again, we drew to see who would ask the first question backstage. The first question will be asked by Ms. Nunn. You may direct it to either candidate.
I have said throughout the campaign that I support raising the minimum wage. You run a company with thousands of employees that make the federal minimum wage, and you have opposed raising the minimum wage. So I would like to ask you, what do you think that the federal minimum wage should be, specifically?
Well, let's talk about the minimum wage. We've proven time and again that this is about jobs and about supply and demand for those jobs. If you get the economy going, all rates go up because we have more people, more demand for people working. The problem right now is that my opponent wants to tear me down in terms of my business career. But let's talk about what she really stands for. She supports Obamacare. She supports amnesty. She supports education. She supports more regulation on energy. And yes, she supports the economic policies of this administration that have caused this crisis that we have today, where 4 million women have been thrown into poverty in the last 6 years.
Ms. Nunn, 30-second rebuttal.
David, you did not answer my question. In a single day of working at Dollar General, what it took one of your employees making minimum wage a whole year to make. So let me ask you again, do you believe that we should have a federal minimum wage, and specifically, what do you think it should be?
As I said, this minimum wage is a job. If you increase minimum wage the way this president has done already, you do it unilaterally, you will kill jobs in this country. We've been proving that over and over. Higher taxes, more regulation. This is the plan that my opponent supports.
We are moving on. Next question. Folks, I appreciate it. I can't even hear what they're saying. And in order for me to be able to find out whether there's time for rebuttal, I need to be able to hear if they're attacking one another. And I think our panelists are having a little trouble hearing right now, too. So we're going to have to move on, but I love your passion, but we need to be able to hear what everyone is saying. Ms. Wofford, you have the next question.